Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Mr. Hedit as our supervisor and all of our friends. You are from Group 1 and we are from the listener poem analysis. And the group member are Bunga ALMIA GANE SANTINA PUTRI, DENNATA RIZKY, and VICKY GALIH DEWANGGA. Now, my friend will tell you about the first analysis. Your time is yours.
Thank you. The summary of the poem The Listener is a 36-line first long poem. On the night of the full moon, a traveler came to the house and knocked on the door. He demanded that the door be opened, but no one responded to his calls. The traveler realized that no one will open the door for him, so he gave up and got on his horse to leave. As he went into the darkness, the phantoms heard the sound of hoofs on the rock. What is the main subject of the poem? Apart from underscoring the word's innate ignorance, the listener seemed to reflect the essential loneliness that results from the mystery. Existentialism is a form of philosophical inquiry that explores the problem of human existence and centers of the experience of thinking, feeling, and acting. The poetry creates a distinction between each isolated human. There is a gap between human extension, the nature around the abandoned house, and the spirit that does not answer the traveler's call. The speaker's tone or attitude, I think the speaker's tone or attitude is mixed between curious and frustrated. It is curious because the travelers want to know if they like to open the door. If so, he curious who it is. In the poem, the traveler is frustrated. He is knocking on the door 3 times, yet no one is answering or opening the door.
Now I will continue about the poet's message. So what is the message of the poem of the listeners? In the listeners, a traveler came to the moonlit door of a house in a strange place. The traveler hoped to keep an unknown promise by coming, but no one answered his knock on the door. Although the poem described it as a house of phantom listeners, and he left. This poem describes the anxiety and dislocation of modern life in which people are alienated from the unnatural world. Next, the figure of speech in the poem. There are two figure of speech in this poem. The first one is metaphor, a house of pantomime listeners and the voice of words of man. And then the binary images. It is used to give more poetic weightage to the lines that have been written, such as perplexed and still, laying over and looked into. What other sound devices have been included in the poem? Delamere used alliteration and assonance to impact the effect of the key moments in the poem. The alliteration of forest vermiflor creates a softness that mimics the texture of the overgrown forest. Likewise, the S and O sounds of the last quartet. They heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. The symbols in the poem. The traveler. It is possible to read the central character of the listeners, the traveler, as a symbol for humankind as a whole. Nameless, he is defined by his journey, which makes him easy to read as a universal figure for a person traveling through life. He approaches the house in the forest on an undefined errand, which he is desperate to complete, but ultimately unable to finish in a satisfactory way. This resonates with the idea of a human research for a purpose that is ultimately thwarted. Most compelling is his repeated question of, is anybody there? One may read this question as analogous to the human search for divine guidance, for the presence of a force operating the universe with intention. In this reading, the poem purposes to define force as present but unresponsive and unknowledgeable. The listeners, thus analogous to a god or gods, pay attention to human pleas, but take no action and give no answers. The traveler, representing a searching soul, is forced to turn away alone. Now my friend will read and will explain about the poem's rhymes. Vicky, time is yours.
Okay, now I will continue the explanation about the poem's rhyme. The listeners is composed of quartets following an ABCD rhyme scheme. The lamar follows a strict rhyme scheme within 2 and 4, 6 and 8, 10 and 12. This happy, sing-song like rhyme scheme embodies the cheerful, light-hearted views that those who inhabit the material world have regarding the idea of going to heaven once their time comes. However, the lack of rhyme within lines 1 and 3, 5 and 7, and the like represent a lack of consistency within humans and their beliefs. And then the next explanation is about the allusion. The allusion in this poem is the word grey eyes, which depicts the goddess Athena in Greek mythology. A virgin goddess, a virgin goddess who has the nickname Parthenos. She has scenic grey eyes that make her called Glaucopis. Meanwhile, the traveler depicted him as the Odysseus, who is a Greek hero. He is known to be able to solve difficult troubles among the gods. In the same vein, the listener description several pseudo listeners who are cramped as well as presumably their inability as opposed to reluctance to speak evokes interaction with the dead in the both Odyssey and Dante's Inferno. First, the dead had to drink the blood of the sacrifices offered by Odysseus before they could answer his question. In the latter, the dead can only speak when greeted by the narrator and the protagonist. And then the next is about the allegory. Allegory in this poem is about a man whose love is unrequited. In the poem, it is explained that the traveler comes to the house in the middle of the forest at night with a horse that is joyfully waiting while eating grass in front of the house. It illustrates that people or boy's friends are also happy when he loves a woman. But when the man tries to express his love for her, she doesn't she doesn't reciprocate. This is explained in the poem. Namely, when the traveler knocks on the door of the house, no one wants to answer or welcome him. The people inside were just silent. Okay, I think that's all our explanation. And then for next, okay, I think that's all for my for explanation. Oh, the last one. And then the last one, the comment on this poem. This poetry is extraordinary and can make the reader feel the author's atmosphere. Starting from feeling lonely to isolated, this poem also leaves some question about the ending, such as were there really any people in the house? Was there really a host of phantom inside the house? Moreover, why the traveler reached the house at night. Okay, I think that's all our explanation about the analysis poetry. Thank you and see you.